Claims of good intentions are rarely comforting when something bad is done, yet even the worst intentions can sometimes result in something spectacularly positive. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan with a reflection on life and liberty. When Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery, they didn't try to hide from themselves their evil intentions. To cover their crimes, though, they told their father the boy had been killed and eaten by wild animals. Yet, as we learn in the book of Genesis, their evil intentions resulted in a regional good. Joseph rose from being a slave to one of those powerful men in Egypt. And from that position, Joseph saved millions of lives, including those of his brothers and their families. I couldn't help but think of those evil brothers as I pondered the actions of the Texas House leadership in the opening moves of the budget debate earlier this month. Reform-minded lawmakers have prepared a series of amendments that would draw cash from the scandal-plagued money laundering enterprise known as the Texas Lottery and send it to property tax relief and other notable causes. The lottery was never intended to be a social good. Sure, advocates told bald-faced lies promoting it in the late 1980s and early 1990s with claims that it would fund public education. A chief proponent of the lottery was Democrat Governor Ann Richards, who never intended the cash to go to the schools. After she was booted from office and the citizenry realized they'd been hoodwinked, lawmakers finally pointed a mere pittance of the revenues into the schools. Since then, the lottery's annual contribution to education is a rounding error in the state's $330 billion budget. What the lottery has done, quite successfully, is become a sophisticated money laundering operation, just like what the mobs created with their casinos in the Nevada desert at the outset of the 20th century. The only difference is that, in the Texas Lottery, our state government has been a willing co-conspirator. The money laundering has been achieved by dangling the mathematically impossible hope of a jackpot in front of financially illiterate Texans. Then, when the jackpot gets big enough, the laundering occurs, with shadowy enterprises allowed to game the system and walk off with money cleaned by the state of Texas. So, with the prospect of lawmakers having to choose between funding an illicit operation of state government and more worthwhile causes, the House leadership made a gamble. They didn't want lawmakers voting for good things, so a left-wing Democrat was enlisted by the lead budget writer, Republican Greg Bonin of Friendswood, to offer a hastily drawn amendment at the outset of the debate. The Bonin-approved amendment simply defunded the lottery. How could that be bad, you might ask? Because there was no intention by the House leadership to actually defund the agency. Remember, the Senate's version of the state budget had fully funded the lottery. The House honchos wanted to deny conservative reformers the chance to put anything on the record. Bonin and company knew they could quietly add the money back in later. Yet what was intended for evil has quickly become a very public good. Rather than sulk after being outfoxed by Bonin, the reformers simply reset the narrative. They leaned into the curve thrown at them and forced members to go on the record with a vote. Overwhelmingly, members have reaffirmed the $0 budget for the corrupt Texas Lottery. In the official voice of the House itself, the Republican majority has said the Texas Lottery should not be funded. If the funding reappears in the coming weeks, it will be because Governor Greg Abbott or the Senate put their fingers on the scales behind the closed doors of the state's budget reconciliation process. If so, they will then personally own the next set of scandals at the agency that are already starting to break. The House has said they want no part of it. Texans should no longer be forced to subsidize a corrupt money laundering scheme. Regardless of the bad intentions that got us here, it is good and right that the Texas Lottery should now die. The Reflections podcast is presented by Texas Scorecard. If you like today's message, be sure to rate it, leave a review, and encourage your friends to listen. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan. Thanks for listening.